All right, we got here a super old Ford, as you can see, Model A. It's got slightly less old, but still old, 350 small block in it, so good reliable motor. It was restored at some point, obviously, as you can see. It's been sitting in a barn though, super dirty. Gonna have to give her a bath, but the story behind it is that somebody replaced the fuel pump on it. Fuel pump went bad, and it was spitting fuel everywhere, and they didn't realize it, and they went to start it and backfired through the carburetor, and the fuel caught on fire, and it burnt basically the whole wiring harness in the engine bay, at least to the ground. You can see all that's in here is the wire, no coating. There's a little bit, but we're gonna have to go through and wire it all back up. There was a lot of custom work done to this thing as far as electrical goes. You can see pretty questionable if you ask me, some of it, but we'll go through it and do a lot of our own wiring and make it work. So we'll have to go through all this probably. It'll be a lot of work, but it'll be a fun project for sure. This has an old point style distributor on it. I'll probably throw an HEI in it, just nice and easy. Toss it in there. Go through the timing and everything. New spark plug wires, obviously. Even though these don't look like totally toasted, but I'm gonna replace them anyway. And then we'll wire up the alternator, wire up the transmission. It's got an automatic in it, so we'll have to do that. And then it's got a whole sound system in it too that we're gonna have to wire up and stuff, and all the gauges. So there's a lot of electrical stuff in it that's gonna go into it. So a lot of custom work. We'll probably be finding some janky stuff too. So it'll be fun though. I'll probably learn a lot. And if you guys want to watch it, you'll probably learn a thing or two. I hope so, at least. But if you guys find this interesting, let me know. And I've never done anything like this before, so let me know what you guys want to see. Do you want to see long videos, short videos, lives? I can do whatever. Just I've never done anything like this before, so I'm looking for ideas. I'm open to ideas, so just let me know. And yeah, thanks for watching. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is draw up a wiring diagram just to make this easy and so you guys know what's going on. So I got the car over there. We're gonna be outlining the starting circuit in blue, because I'm using blue wire, and then we're gonna be doing the ignition circuit in red. So it's a pretty simple circuit. This is as easy as it gets. Should be easy to understand, and then I'll show you guys on the car. So here we got distributor, battery obviously, which is negative, just goes straight to ground. That's a negative if you can't tell. We got 5-amp fuse, starter, and the key switch. This car does not have this style key switch on it. I'll show you what it's like and how to wire it up, but a lot of older cars, and you can buy switches like this, and it's the easiest to wire up, but it's pretty much all the same. There's ways to do it. So first things first, we're gonna run a blue 16 gauge wire to the fuse, 16 gauge, and that's gonna go straight to the battery side on the switch, the B. It's gonna go to the B. And then we're gonna have another wire. I don't know if this is 1/0, 2/0. It's already on the car, but it needs to be a thick wire. It's gonna go to the battery side on the starter, which is easy to tell because it's the middle one and it's big. So it goes to that. And then for the distributor, we're gonna have a so the distributor has a positive and negative side, and it says on top of it if you get an HEI. So one also says battery and one says tack. Tack's negative, battery's positive. So you don't want to run this straight to the battery. You could, but then this will always be hot and it's gonna kill your battery right away. So we're gonna run it to our switch, And I stands for ignition, so we're gonna do the ignition side of the switch, just like that. And then for the starter, there's an S on the key, you can see right here. We're gonna go to the S side of the starter to the S on the switch, just like that. So our starter, since this is an older small block, it does have an R post. Newer ones do not, but we don't need it at all. We're just gonna not put anything on that. If you run it to anything, it could mess stuff up, so we're just gonna leave it the way it is. And then our car does not have a tachometer right now. We might put one on in the future, so what I'm gonna do is just run this off and just put it somewhere in the dash. It's not important. So, but if you had a tachometer, this would go to your tach, just straight to your tach. So, besides that, if you have a fuel pump, electric fuel pump, that would be things like your accessories would go to, like an electric fuel pump or something. Because when you start crank, like when you turn the key to first position, that stuff will turn on, and same with your ignition. But then when you start to crank it, your ignition will stay on and this will shut off. And then when you crank it, this starter will put power to the S post on the starter, and that'll make on the starter relay, and that'll send power to the starter. So that's how that works. But pretty simple wiring diagram. I just did it in all blue. I was gonna do different colors, but you'll see on the car. It'll be easy to understand. It's a pretty simple diagram. But yeah. So let's get into it. All right, so I'll show you guys what I'm doing based on the diagram. So the first thing we're doing is running the power to our switch. So through the fuse right here. So what I got in here is the battery. I ran, you can see that wire going off the positive side. I ran that to a post right here. I got a positive and negative post, you can see. I did some other custom stuff like a battery shut-off switch because this isn't driven that much to save the battery and stuff. But so in this box right here, this is a fuse box I bought, just a cheap little, I think it was 20 bucks maybe. It's got like 8 fuses and 6 relays in it or something like that. But I ran it. Here's the positive side of the fuse. It just runs, this thick wire runs to all the fuses. And I just took the first fuse in the section. It doesn't need to be a high amp fuse, it's just a 5 amp fuse. And then I ran that, and here is the other side of the fuse, this blue wire right here. So that's getting 12 volts to it through the fuse, and that goes up to the key, and I'll show you that in a second. All right, so here's where that wire runs to. You can see it says B on it, which means battery. So if you were using like a normal style switch, which is pretty common, you'll see this. You can see this has markings on it, like this is ignition, accessory, battery, and then starter, S for starter. So if you have this style key, you'll just run this straight to battery, obviously, which is a lot easier. But I have a different style key, mechanical. This thing's beeping at me. So you can see when I turn the key, this post right here moves up and down, and that is connected to this right here. And when you do that, it connects these different posts together, and some of them are connected all the time, some of them are connected sometimes, like when you turn the key to ignition, or when you turn it to start, it connects different ones. So you have to find that out. And how I found that out was I got a multimeter and I turned it to the continuity testing. So it beeps when there's continuity. Basically all that means is when these two prongs touch together, it beeps. And what I did is I found out which two were connected when the key was turned to the on position, like that. And that would be these two right here.
sorry, these two. It's hard to do with one hand. There you go. Hear that? Those two are connected with one hand. And there's multiple connected to this post right here, this middle post right here. There's multiple that have continuity when the key's on the on position. So I know that that one powers the rest of them. So this one is going to be the one that you plug the battery into. It's pretty simple. You just got to take your time and figure it out. And then for the starter, here I have my starter plug. This, you see it says S on it. This just runs straight to the S post on the starter. It's hard to show on camera because it's below the car, but this just goes straight to the S post on the starter. And then the R just goes to nothing. And then there's a wire that connects the starter to the battery, the starter relay, sorry. But this one, I know goes to this post right here because I'm not gonna be able to do it with one hand, but if I put one prong to the battery terminal and then one to this one, there's no continuity until I turn the key all the way to crank. So I know that that one goes to the starter. So I'll plug that in. And then for the distributor, a lot of these plugs have continuity when the key is in the on position. But when you're wiring up your distributor, you want it to have power even when you're cranking, or else your car won't start till you stop cranking, and if it even starts at all. So some of these plugs have continuity with the battery terminal when it's on the on position, but as soon as you crank it, you lose continuity because that's what it does. That's accessories. But these two posts, I know that this top one has continuity with the battery post when it's on the on position and when it's cranking. So that means it always has power, except when the key's off, obviously. So I know that it'll be that post. So pretty simple, just 3 wires. You obviously have a lot of extras if you have a fuel pump or something. Those are all accessory wires. So we'll go to the front of the car and I'll show you what's going on up there.
All right, so right here's my distributor. I took the cap off. You're gonna need to do that. Basically, they're just spring loaded. You just push them down and twist them. Probably left. Usually they are. But so the distributor comes with a plug coming from the bottom that just plugs into the top for the coil. You can see there's plugs right there. If they'll focus. But these ones, the bottom ones, are for the plug that's on the bottom of the distributor. And then these top two, you can see at the top of the case, it says, focus. Right here it says battery, and it says tack. That's where you're gonna run your plugs. Now my distributor came with a wire that basically, or a plug that plugs in here, and then you splice the wires together. But if they don't, you can just plug them straight into those 2 posts right there. Just make sure you put them on the right size inside, and make sure that they are sealed connections. I'll show you what I mean. You can't use, at least I wouldn't recommend using anything that's not sealed. Make sure they have like the casing around them, just so they don't connect together, because that's the negative and positive side of your coil, and you don't want those shrunk out. You'll fry something. But I just have this plastic plug, so I'm good. But you can see the red wire. This is ignition. That just goes to the ignition post on the key, and then this for the tack. This blue wire. I just have that running into the cab, and it's just sitting there. It's not plugged into anything, so because I'm not running a tack. But if you're running a tack, you'll just wire that straight to your tachometer. Pretty simple. What we'll do now is we'll get the distributor roughly timed, so I'll show you how to do that. All right, so what we're gonna do next is we got our bottom half of our distributor right here. Make sure you got the little gasket on there. We're gonna set it in here. Way it goes. All right, they don't always sit. Mine might have just, no. Usually they won't sit
all the way down in. Right away, you see how mine's like off a little bit. It's not all the way down. So what you'll need to do is grab mine, I believe 17 or 16 millimeter. I don't know what that is, standard, but we're gonna put it on our flywheel and we're gonna turn. This is gonna be really hard to do one-handed. There we go. We're gonna turn the motor over until that falls down into place. So I'll set the camera up right here. When it falls down. There we go. See how it just clicked down? That would mean that the fuel or the oil pump aligned. There we go. It's fully seated down there. I'm gonna make sure that this moves pretty freely in there, and I'm gonna get in a comfortable spot, and then we're gonna put our lockdown on there, and I'll do that off camera because I need both hands. All right, so now that we got it in there and tightened down, I took out cylinder 1 spark plug. So on a Chevy, pretty much all of them, the cylinders go 1, 3, 5, 7 on the driver's side, and then on the passenger side it goes I can't think, 2, 4, 6, 8. So odds on this side, evens on that side. So I took the spark plug out of cylinder 1, and what I did is I got a little wad of paper, and I'm gonna stuff it down in the spark plug hole. Nice and sealed in there, pretty tight. And then, since we got the starting circuit wired up to the key switch, I went ahead and plugged in the battery, turned on the battery and everything. And what we're gonna do is I'll set up the camera. I'm gonna turn the motor over, and when that piece of paper shoots out, they'll be roughly top and center on cylinder 1. So I'm gonna do it 2 times, just to make sure you get somewhat of the same result both times. Alright, here goes the second time. Alright, so wherever it shoots out, the distributor will be pointing a certain direction. Usually it's roughly towards the cylinder that's firing, roughly towards number 1 cylinder. As you can see, it's pretty much pointing towards it. But you want to see where that's pointing. And then what you're going to do is see where your cap sits on that and see which post on the cap that would be pointing to. So in this case, it'd be this one. So I went ahead and marked a 1. It's kind of fading. But then this distributor always turns clockwise. This motor turns clockwise. So I went ahead and counted 1 through 8 along. Also goes 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And then we're gonna put our cap on and wire it up. I'll show you. All right, now that we got it bolted down, we're gonna plug in the bottom part of our distributor, and don't gotta worry about plugging this in the wrong way, because it only plugs in one way. It won't let you go the other way, so you can't get that wrong. But then if you have this plug, then you can't mess this one up either. But if you don't and you wire it up yourself, then just make sure you put those in the right spot. Ignition to battery, tack to tack. Pretty simple, but if you mess it up, it won't be good. So next thing is we're gonna wire each cylinder, or our spark plug wires. So remember, 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 3, 5, 7. And then it goes around in a circle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. and we'll just mess around with the lengths of the wire and see what fits best. But I gotta put the spark plug back in too. I'll see you guys when that's done. All right, now she's all wired up. We're gonna turn it over, test for spark. All right, so as you guys can see, we had good spark. So I went ahead and put the spark plug back in and connect that wire. Don't have a car right now, so I can't start it for you guys, but it should run. That's actually what we'll be doing in the next video. If you guys want to follow this, it's kind of like a series. I'll be doing all sorts of stuff. But next video will be cleaning up the carb, putting the carb back on, wiring up an electric choke. And yeah, and then there'll be all sorts of other videos. We'll be doing other stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys learned something, or at least found it entertaining a little bit. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.